Naming of the public roads, Taupo Place. Louise and David. Nice to see you, Louise. No, welcome aboard, Louise. Nice to have you. Nice to have you here. Are you a French extract? Are you or?
No.
Oh, okay. I thought you might have been. Okay. No, that's all right, Louise. So obviously this is up off Hooker Falls Road, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah. I'm not sure now, but the hospital centre and the yeah. So yeah, I'm before you today to make a decision on 4 new road names within the subdivision, and I'll take it as being read and fire away with it.
Well, I've moved, Mr. Chairman.
Why don't they name a street House Way? It's on House Way.
True. Yeah, so that was the name, and I think it makes sense to me to get to know that French theme. I guess if you are a French person visiting, you will be that.
Just a little bit of history here. Is the French part is because of our connection with the sister city?
Partly, but it's also the area that it's in, I would suggest. Just on that theme, we name a lot of street, or we have cul-de-sac on a lot of our streets in New Zealand and in the UK, which means bum of the bag. So,
Nice.
I just have one question, one query, particularly the bottom one, the loop. That's sort of a new. I know we've had ways and we've had drives and we've had courts, but we've never had a loop before.
loopy.
Obviously,
I think it's the shape of the road.
More like a crescent, I suppose.
Yeah.
as long as it's
Way of saying it.
as long as emergency services are happy, that's the main thing. But interesting. Okay, thanks, Louise. Well done, and David. The suggested resolution, I think, was moved by Councillor Body, seconded by Councillor Cousins. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
All those against, carried. Thanks, Louise. Item number 7. Declaration of Clear Reserve.
You should go to Thailand more often.
It's already been moved. Ella. Oh, sorry. No, it hasn't been moved at all. Ella, tell us all about it.
Okay. So this item is to report back to council now on public consultation and for council to make the final decision on the land owners Kaingaroa and Street down and whai to the regulation reserve. So we received no submissions back from the consultation and we require the reserve, the land to be reserved for it to be included in covered by policy developed in the southeast.
Thanks, Ella. Any questions or queries for Ella? Councillor Krasowski.
Question, if I may. Do we know what the actual value is of that particular site? In the asset management? Or?
Okay, thanks, Ella. Straightforward. Are the councillors happy with that? Okay, it's been moved by Councillor Body. Seconded by Councillor Krasowski. Thank you. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Against? Carried. Item number 8.
In December, council passed a resolution agreeing to allow the Taupo-Kaingaroa to locate 2 storage containers on Ferry Rock Bankrupt for 2 years for a temporary storage solution for its support equipment and smaller office sites. The concept was to allow one of the storage containers to be used by the Rowan Club for storage. As a scheme plan, the initial scheme plan in F1 was later shown to council after concerns about the visual impact of that storage area and the documents. whaka rolling storage area. Since then, the whaka club and growing club has come back with an updated amended scheme plan. They've decided that the containers are the best idea, and yet they'd like to have one integrated storage shed and a larger pen area to store their larger bulks and whakas. So you see the updated scheme plan on page 987 of the review. So the dock pen, which is integrated with the updated whaka rolling club scheme plan. We've got a larger pen area, which is now 15 by 10 metres, as opposed to 8 by 10 metres, and you've got one 5 by 2 metre storage shed, as opposed to 2 containers. The idea is that they'll be able to stack their larger boats alongside that shed and access it through gates on the side. Now we're wanting to create a consistency across that area with the docking. So we're going to level the land and the same type of style of So if council are happy to approve the updated scheme, basically need the previous resolution to be rescinded, the new resolution. I have Jay Bennett from the
Hi, Jay.
Ella, can you just hold up the couple of photographs that you had before? This must be my eyes.
Oh, it's a shame.
I apologise.
So just to confirm, the is it pipe and netting? Or
Yeah, that's right.
Sorry, Jay.
It's the same material supplied by the same company in Wire who have been approved for the yacht club's pen on the side of the one.
right, so it's all be the same. Yeah. Okay.
Same colour, the same material.
So you mentioned an actual increase in size. That's
Yeah, so when we after we got the paperwork back from the container idea, we realised that our 13 metre long boats are going to be sitting outside that allowable 8 by 10 metre area, and so rather than put ourselves into the situation where someone from council going to come along and go, well, this boat we can use 8 by 10 metre area, your boats are sitting outside of that, we thought we put this proposal together that them to be contained within that 10 by 15 metre storage area. It means that our whaka are a lot safer, and obviously for our insurance wise, it makes it a lot simpler for us. And just the loading in and out, coming out from this end, would be where the gates are, makes it a lot easier to deal with large boats. For the rowing club, they would then be able to store their eight-person rowing skips there as well. Previously, they were going to have to store them somewhere else, say at Marina. And they've got a professional coach coming on board in next month. So the use by students especially will be elevated.
cool. Thanks, Jay. Any other questions or queries, Councillor Williamson?
Oh, sorry, it's just a very small point under discussion. It's got the wrong sort of metre spelling.
Sorry?
Spelling, a metre.
French.
What sort of metre are you going to use?
French.
French.
Jollins?
Through the chair thing, just a question for Ella. It says here in the document that further resource consent processes will need to be initiated. What? Can you elaborate on that, please?
So since it's a foreshore protection zoned area under the district, the structure requires a resource consent. So I need to pass that resource consent for our training team. I've had discussion with our training team, and they've said that as long as the interested parties satisfy document concerns with the structure.
Sorry about that, given our district.
Does not have to be notified, but it needs to be consented to.
It needs to be consented, probably not notified.
But not notified?
probably not notified. If we can get, if the affected parties' approvals can be gained, then no.
Okay, Councillor Bennett.
Thank you. Just can you please tell me what the overall footprint is going to be?
The overall footprint will be the size of the queue, which will be 15 by 10 metres.
So basically, it continues on from the bomb shelter.
Bomb shelter, and then
bomb shelter. What is it?
you've got the bomb shelter, and then you've got your pre-approved yacht club extension, and then this follows that on.
Councillor Hickley?
Yeah, I know this has taken a little bit of time, but from the first presentation, I'm really pleased with the final outcome, Your Worship. I think it looks a lot more attractive than the original concept, which was fine, but so yeah, I'm pleased with the outcome.
Yeah, absolutely. And I appreciate Jay and your patience. Sorry, the other gentleman there, I noticed from the yacht club as well. Yeah, no. Appreciate your patience on this, and I think we've got, it is a highly desirable area, and obviously with the recent upgrade that's taken place down there, a lot more traffic down there as well. So we just need to be cautious about this just to make sure. The other thing, Jay, and I can talk to you later. Anchor Wire, they've got some serious Taupo connections here, so it could be a way of some sponsorship from them. Not just you can give us a ring later about that. Okay, so we've got a suggested resolution there, Councillor Johns.
Oh, I thought you did one. I'll second it. No, I'll second that.
Thank you, Councillor Johns. Seconded by Councillor Hickley. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Those against, carried. Okay, so the rescinded. Thank you.
I look forward to seeing it.
Item number 9. Options debate. Good afternoon, Ariel. Following around and
No, let's
see the value first.
$12.
Can my gift be recorded?
12 cents.
I think, well, no, I think it's all, I don't know about
So much. Oh, that's so exciting.
Okay.
where do you suggest we put these? Where them? Thank you very much, Ariel. The floor is yours.
Thank you. So it's great to be here today and to have got this point in terms of where we are with the options debate, and that means it's another step forward in our 10-year plan journey. I won't go through the paper word for word, but I guess I just wanted to make it clear what the purpose of the options debate is. And it is really an opportunity for council to get that feedback from our community before you start pushing things into the draft and plan or before you start taking it out. So I just want to make sure that everyone is clear that that was the purpose of it. It also means that it doesn't take away any choices that councillors might like to make when we actually get to the draft 10-year plan. It is just the starting point. And it's really about engaging with our community and getting them involved and getting them along as part of the journey so that whatever the 10-year plan ends up looking like, it's representative of what our community wants in this district. So So I just wanted to take you through a few things. You've obviously had the attachment, which is the paper that's going out. There are a few minor changes that I'd like to suggest, which are basically just formatting things, the addition of a logo that was on common location. I'll go through those in a moment, but I first of all wanted to go through what's actually going to happen over the month of September, and I'd really like to encourage our councillors to get involved, which is why I've handed out this consultation schedule, which is what we've been working on over the last 3 or 4 weeks in terms of who we're going to be going and presenting to. So I'll come back to you guys about this later, but it will be really great for as many councillors as we can come along to these events. So I'll just leave that with you for now.
Just on that, you're also, so you're presenting to all these organisations and what have you. Okay, so you'd like council support?
I'd like councillors to come along as well.
So we're quite welcome to come along to these organisations just as, yeah, okay.
Through Mr. Chairman, just to besides that, we would like you to. This is your plan. You need to own it and drive it. So, to be really honest, we would like to have at least a couple of councillors at each and every one of those meetings.
Chairman, can I just get some clarification then? As we, as a council, have not decided what options we're going to take for the 10-year plan, are we having these meetings for senior council staff to say what we're thinking, or should these groups be being addressed by councillors? I mean, what format will this discussion take? I mean, I've emailed Ariel with my concerns about the TEL fund and about Land Valley, Capital Valley not being included, and I've got some real reservations about some of this, which is so blank in depth. There's nothing for the general public to work on, but I need to know the format. How's this going to work? I mean, you're going to go along and say, this is what we're thinking, what do you think to the community? Because if your first meeting by this is on Monday, no one will have got that by Monday, will they?
Some people may have, but no. I'll go through how it's going to be distributed, if you like, so that might have some comments around it. There's a few ways to answer your questions.
Sorry, you were just these are the things that we have decided in our initial stages. This has been, been through workshops here, and this is what we've come up with the plan. So this is what we have decided collectively as a unit.
That was our understanding of the
So we have decided this. This the initial part, but it does not say it's in concrete going forward or whatever. But this is what the initial part of the council wanted to be in the options to make. So this is a council.
It's a council starting position, I guess. Yeah. It doesn't hold you to anything. What it is it just, and I understand your question.
The reason I raise it, Mr. Chairman, when you go through this document, for instance, I talked to a couple of councillors before about it. We've got Destination Great Lake Taupo. It's worth 400 million to our area. Tourism. That ain't come from Destination Great Lake Taupo. So we've also, as I explained in my email to you, in regards of the fact that the Act has changed. So in fact, some of the things here, one is housing for the elderly. It's no longer a core service of council. But this publication doesn't point out what these changes mean, what we can and can't do.
I'd just like to respond to that. Council can choose what it would like to do based on the support it gets from the community. So,
no, excuse me, I'll rephrase that, not the support from the community. There might be 100% support for a particular action for this council to take that's contrary to the changes in the Act.
You'll find that the Act doesn't define local public service, and there's a reason for that. It's to allow each individual council to make a choice about what they would like to support. So
effectively, one major thing that's on this document is being decided by government that it's no longer a core service.
Government has stipulated what core services are, but they haven't stipulated what councils can't do. Councils can still choose to support housing for the elderly if they wish.
The council, you were at the BNZ and heard a statement made, and particularly in regards to one of the things that's on that piece of paper.
So I guess just to reiterate what has been said and said very well, I must say, but the housing for the elderly, despite what an MP might have said or might not have said, and I was present at the meeting, it is up to you and your community to decide what you as a council do. So you have decided through your workshops that you were going to go out and ask the question of the community about how should we be into housing for the elderly? It's then up to the community to respond to that, and then ultimately it's up to you at the next stage to make a decision, which will then go into a draft and enable another set of submissions. So this is right at the start end of the process. And remember, we talked about hot potatoes. Yeah, these are the things that potentially the community may have a really strong view on one way or the other. This options debate is a nice, safe place that people can give you their feedback and their views, so that then you can have that debate with knowledge of what the people think going into the draft long-term plan. So it's about information gathering, and I guess coming back to your earlier question about these meetings, and Ariel, I'd like you to go into how you are going to run those or how you want to run those meetings. But again, it's about information sharing, it's about getting information. Remember, this early options debate isn't about submissions and formal hearings and things like that. It's about getting information from the community. You need to, and that's my point that I made earlier, you need to be there to hear that, because it's you guys that will be taking what the community has said and having that debate and that discussion around this table about what you put into the draft. So in terms of the meetings, how were you looking at?
Generally, my thinking was that usually I would do an introduction of who's there, who's come along. And because this is an informed process, it's kind of about having a conversation rather than me standing up the front talking at people, or our other team members who will be going along to them. And so we will have information to give out, we will have copies of this to talk to people, they will have been sent a copy, and I take this point not necessarily by the 1st of September, but we think we're going to get a wriggle on because we don't have a lot of time to do this. And with the councillors there, it's about being a part of the community and hearing what they're saying to you and asking questions that you might want answers to. So it's very informal. There may be some situations where I'll prepare a presentation and it will be based on what's in the document itself. But in most cases, it's about having a conversation and just sitting there talking and listening.
And indeed, the conversation might come back. There might be something else that come up that we haven't included in the list yet. Councillor Park?
Yeah, I'd just like to reiterate what Gareth said. On Friday, one of the local government New Zealand seminars I attended was the elected members' role in the LTP, and that's exactly right. Like it's not defined what our actual activities are, and I'm pretty sure from the workshops we had that we all decided that although the housing for the elderly affected a very minor number of residents in the district, it was an extremely sensitive and emotive issue, and it was something that we should definitely be having a conversation about. And regarding the DGLT, I spoke to Councillor Body about this previously, and I sort of interpreted it a bit different, that it's overall tourism. So again, if we can all get out there and explain that, it probably would help. And with the rates, I thought the consensus Councillor Jollins had a brilliant idea about talking about the philosophy around affordability and reducing debt. And so I think that's a much sort of broader and nicer way to go out about a number of things, which could include some of the specifics that you've mentioned. So yeah, I'm quite happy. And having been through the process before, I mean, it is quite different, an options debate compared to going out with your draft LTP and whatnot. And I have a number of committees that meet over a month, so if we can get access to extra copies, so I can take them along to inform those groups as well, just to add to this calendar. And do we just get back to you individually about what we can help with?
Yeah, I will send it out so that you can put your names next to the events that you can.
Great, just nothing on the 3rd of September, please.
Your birthday.
Part of this as well, so there's other groups that the councillors want to be included on that list.
Absolutely. I'm happy to take suggestions. We do, one of the things I might just, before we get into that, I might just go through how it's going to be distributed as well. That might put a bit of context in it. So for our out-of-town ratepayers, we've got about 7,500 of those. Of those 7,500, we have 1,000 who have occupancy. We can use their email address rather than sending to the physical. So those out-of-town ratepayers are going to be getting a postcard. There's a number of reasons for that. One, it's very expensive to print 7,500 copies of this and post it to people. Also, too, you will have noticed there's the online questionnaire option. We're really trying to move people towards online engagement. There's a couple of reasons for that. One, it's
an efficient and effective way of doing things, but also it makes the analysis of the information very, very quick at the end. So that saves us time as well. Also, on the postcard we are saying to people, if you want us to send you a paper copy, just let us know. We'll pop one in the post, so that's not a problem. It'll be up on the website, obviously. It's going into the Taupo Times at this size, so all these 4 pages. I just want this to illustrate what I was doing. On the 5th of September. So that's to make sure that we get all the people who live here as ratepayers and as part of our community as users. It's also going in DMs to the advertiser. We're obviously meeting with multiple community groups, including iwi. There will be a series of wandering around the streets, handing information out, and we've also got stickers to hand out to people. There's going to be posters up at the venues and the libraries and offices so that people know what's happening. It'll be in our weekly connect. There's obviously the online questionnaire that I talked about, and there's also a new engagement that we're using just now on social. So it's quite a lot of avenues that we've taken up to try and get the message out there and try and get people to talk to us. So we're quite hopeful that that will bring us a level of response.
I'm going to make another comment here. You've done a lot of work. I'm just reading through the groups, or reading through the meeting dates, and I want to attend as many as I can. It tends to be to individual groups rather than individual members of the public. For instance, a good venue would be the Mayor's coffee mornings. But when we read through this, it's Friends of the Library, the Rotary Club, the sports group, Plunket. Where's the general public get involved in those?
The streets.
We're going to be doing the wandering around the streets. So you would have been involved in the end plan parts of the week we stood on the street. We thought perhaps this time would be a bit more mobile and sort of up to people. Excuse me. Rather than waiting for them to come and talk to us. We've got stickers so that they can put it on their shirts so that we can talk to them.
Can we give them a badge each too?
No, we can't afford a badge each.
We've got our badges.
Sorry.
Are you right?
There's also an ideal place, which I mentioned before, is the weekend market.
Weekend.
Even 2
market.
meetings.
Weekend market.
So, well,
Aussie Club?
Yeah, thank you.
Obviously, as Errol said, it will be in the Taupo Times, so everybody will be getting a copy themselves in their box. The more people we talk to collectively to answer the questions and gather the feedback.
Well, that's where the Mayor's coffee thing comes in. We are getting people to know.
Yes, the Rotary House would be a good venue for like a public meeting. Yeah, all combined.
Sorry, what was that?
All combined.
Rotary House.
Are you offering it free, John? Are you offering it free, John?
Oh, if I'm there, that's the other Rotary. Yeah, I am. It's easy.
Sarah, have you considered how you might use social media to get the online survey?
Sorry, I forgot to mention that. Facebook is being utilised as well to promote that message.
Twitter?
Yeah, we'll be tweeting like crazy, I guess.
We haven't got Gareth to make you an app yet, so everyone's going to do it on their phone.
Okay, thanks, Ariel. Yeah, and oh, sorry. Yep.
A few minor changes to the front page I wanted to bring to your attention. Under the bullet point where it talks about reducing debt, at the end of the sentence I just wanted to put legislation in there, so it would read upgrades for drinking water and wastewater to meet legislation and consent requirements. Sorry. And then there's just going to be a little bit of a rejig down the bottom with those orange boxes so that we can fit the logo on in the right hand bottom corner, just so it's a bit more prominent. And we've also created a 10-year plan email address, so I'll be adding that to this as well.
Last time you had a pamphlet like this, how many did you get actually physical pamphlets back? Can you recall?
I can't remember
how many pamphlets we got back, but we got over 400 responses in total.
Do we still, like, I'm talking back to 2008, was the last time I saw it used, the mobile portable touchscreen
Oh, no, we don't have those anymore.
Yeah, where people could sort of, stand on the side of the street.
The opinion meter.
Yes, and answer questions through that.
We did it slightly different through when we did Our Neighbourhood Expo as well. So we had the opinion meter, but we also used laptops out on the street. But I was just going to say we could probably do that. In 2008 it didn't work that great because the Wi-Fi was pretty poor then. So it might be a bit more
just if,
useful
to
now.
capture people and inputting the data straight away, you're going to save time, money, and people like playing with toys. So
absolutely.
You know what a selfie is? I'm impressed. Okay.
Chair, I'll register my concern again about the community engagement, and I believe one way around it is to take off the names of the groups. For instance, on the 15th, it's Lake Taupo Tourism, Suncourt. Why doesn't it just say Suncourt 5:30?
Sorry, through the chair, it's a preset event.
Why are we going to an AGM?
Because you're going to capture all the motel, hospitality.
Oh, right. What happened when they did a survey? How many members did they get to complete the survey?
But just from my back work in comms, like to tap into already existing events where you're not going to have to pay full hire. You don't have to set the thing up. You just can walk in, do your thing, and talk to the people is a very low cost, easy way to access already existing groups.
So effectively, Your Worship, on the 11th, when we meet with the Friends of the Library, who else is going to turn up?
Well, I think Ariel's given the opportunity. If you've got some other groups or some other ideas, I think feed them into Ariel. If you want a public meeting with a sandwich board on each side, or walking down the main street with a sandwich board, I think.
I won't be wearing a sandwich board.
And the badge.
I
think the option, you obviously open your arms here today to say, well, anything we'll look at doing anything. So
I think made my suggestion, for instance, the one to do with Taupo Residents Group or the people over at Acacia Bay, that should be a public meeting. That's part of democracy, isn't it? Talking to the people.
Yep.
I'm impressed we're also having night meetings, which is great to see.
And the market's an excellent idea, as you said earlier.
I'll definitely add in those mayoral coffee meetings and the weekend markets, and go from there.
I think you'll probably find the average attendance of public meetings in the past been pretty light, have they?
Yes, very light.
We need to go to them. Okay.
What about the election booths on election day?
Yeah.
A little pageant.
That's a good idea.
I'll leave that to the councillors to decide.
Good idea. Councillor Truman.
Thanks. Under the Sealing Rural Roads, it says we spend 375,000, but should that be 402 now? 2014-15 years, 402.
I'll chase that one up.
And also under the rubbish one, just before the choice part, it says the last sentence, we could provide wheelie bins, but they would also come at a cost. Don't we currently provide wheelie bins? No? Because I'm just thinking, if you come to the yes/no part, I just felt that last sentence was a bit, so you do, or you could, like, is that part of the yes or the no? Okay. Unless there was some lines to say, yes, I want a wheelie bin, or... That was my only things.
General, people know that we pay for it.
Yeah, that's right. You can yes or no, but we don't get any information back.
They pay for the wheelie bins, though, don't they? Yeah.
Ariel, just a thought.
Yes.
Are we able to get these to primary schools and intermediate schools for them to take students take home?
Councillor Williamson? Oh, sorry. Yep.
Sorry, I interrupted through the chair. I just had a suggestion to Ariel that maybe we could get this through the schools for taking home with newsletters or electronic copies.
I would rather just put something in the newsletters, because the cost of doing that is probably quite significant, and also too, again, it just allows us to sort of push the message in terms of using the online option.
You could put an advert in the school newsletters, redirecting them to the
Absolutely.
Perfect.
Okay.
Your worship.
Councillor Williamson.
I'll just pick up Councillor Body's point regarding the GLT with that seen as overall tourism contributes $400 million to the economy. In the context, it should be more relevant to what just the local economy, but not misleading because that's the overall New Zealand's economy. But can be more specific, to be more relevant to what people want to. New Zealand,
the 400 million
is to our district.
Sorry, through the chair. My understanding, the 400 million is through our district. There's been some recently announced figures. I think from memory that annual contribution of tourism is something like 25 billion to the national economy. So if you wanted to put a quote in there like that, you could, or you just add in local before the words economy.
You want local before economy for local?
Google it.
Yeah, Bernard, Councillor Bernard.
Just a purely practical request is that a lot of that will, particularly when you print it in the newspaper, you have a lot of small type there. And when you print it on the newspaper, if there's any misregister or bad printing or whatever on grey background, that is going to be very, very hard to see, particularly for our elderly.
Yeah, so just bearing in mind that this is the A4 version, so it will be printed up to that. But I agree, there will. That's one of the challenges with newspaper print. It's not great quality paper, as we all know, but it's also about cost effectiveness and reaching as much of an audience as we can. So that's why we need to use the newspaper.
I think Lisa's listening intensely there. That we need a high res. Yeah. Newspaper. I think that's what. You've got the hold up the newspaper, please, Em.
Yeah. So the Taupo Times. So
that's that there. Yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah,
but
that's
that.
bigger.
So
that's
that
right.
will be that. Yeah.
Okay.
I just didn't want to print you an A3 version.
Well, Mr. Chairman, without harping on here, and I'm sorry about this, we get down to the library, and we've got a yes or no. Should we charge to hire books and use computers at a library, yes or no? But there's no figures in there. 95% of the funding of the library comes from rates. So if we put in that it costs us $700,000 to run the library, people may be more keen to tick yes and pay $2 for the hireage of a book. That's what I get about the facts you give people to make decisions is important. I don't believe in some of these areas we're actually doing that.
I'm happy to put some additional figures in the library one if you'd wish.
Yeah, I would support Councillor Bobby.
Yeah, without being an encyclopedia though, we want short. You still want it short and sharp so people actually read it. Boom. They don't want to read a whole encyclopedia and the history of the whatever. But
absolutely, I think
you've done well to attract.
It's one of the challenges that we have.
The colour, the content, and that. You've just got enough, I think. But yeah. Okay. Councillor Cousins.
The PGRT is a typo, second line down. Provide information.
That's right. There's two there.
Just a point of clarification. Take, for example, the DGLT. It's about whether we spend the same, more or less, rather than a yes, or we should support or we shouldn't support. What I'm looking at from a councillor is what I'm going to do with the information when I get it back. So, I mean, some instances we give people a yes or no, like for services to the community, but with DGLT and events, we're asking about whether we should be spending more or less. Was there a reason why you did a more or less or the same versus a yes or no answer?
The reason we did that was based on the feedback that we had from the workshops, which was, my understanding was that was the direction that the councillors wished to take rather than a yes-no with those particular ones.
Is that everyone's understanding? I just wanted to clarify that was all.
Yeah, I think
quite a difference.
I think it captures it quite well. You know, a lot of people some people want less spent, some people want more, or some people are quite happy with how it's all going. So
I guess the other thing to bear in mind on this is that people aren't constrained to the boxes, so they can write all over.
They can comment, yeah. And we should encourage people to.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
This is just the first cut.
Yeah.
Discussion.
Is that where we're going to add 400 million to our local economy?
Well, we say our economy. To me, I took it as our local.
But it doesn't come from Destination Great Lake Taupo.
No, that's
conduit
right.
and
I suppose I can't find it on here where it states about number dollars. It's got numbers, and that dollars actually comes out of it.
I'm happy to move the recommended resolution.
Your Worship, is just because there's been a lot of discussion on that last sort of sentence, is that really necessary? Because what we're talking about there is 1.7 million. That's what it costs the council, and we're asking the question: do you want the same level? Do you want more, or do you want less? Does it really matter what they bring into the community? I don't think it does.
Oh, I think it's good to highlight that $400 million is a lot of money.
But that doesn't come from an organisation, Your Worship.
Conduit, sorry, council body.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that.
Everyone works as a team in this community, and they are part of it, and they're funded by us. So I think that $400 million is quite a significant amount of money. Now the argument could be, if they go, is it still there?
Is it still
might
there?
not be.
It probably may not be.
I think the general public will say, well, that is a lot of money, and admittedly it's not all right through them. But I don't think anyone's going to say, well, that's comes directly from them. So I think that the public deserve to know that that's a significant spend. Okay.
One last question to the Chair. Do we have a program of engaging consulting with local iwi as part of our options?
Yes, that's in train. We just haven't been able to quite get the dates sorted, so we're just working on that.
Okay, it's been moved by Councillor Park.
Sorry, and that would be including the amendments regarding the
All the amendments taken down. All those. Good. Seconded by Councillor Stewart. Thank you very much. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Those against? Carried. Item number 10.